Long ago, in a quiet mountain village surrounded by tall forests and misty hills, there lived a young Hmong boy named Mai. Mai had no parents. When he was very small, a terrible sickness came to the village during a harsh winter. The cold winds carried illness from house to house, and many people fell weak. Among them were Mai's mother and father. Before spring arrived, they were gone. Mai was too young to understand what death meant. He only knew that the warm voices that once sang to him at night were suddenly silent. After that winter, Mai was sent to live with his uncle and aunt. But their home was not a place of comfort. His uncle believed children should work hard, and because Mai was not his own son, he treated him more like a servant than family. Every morning before the sun rose over the mountains, Mai was already awake. While the other children in the village still slept under warm blankets, Mai stepped outside into the cold morning air. His chores never ended. First, he had to feed the chickens. Dozens of them scratched the dirt in the yard, clucking loudly as he scattered corn for them. Then he had to lead the cows to the fields, walking barefoot through wet grass and mud. After that, he cleaned the animal pens, chopped wood, carried water from the river, and worked in the cornfields under the hot sun. His clothes were old and patched together. Sometimes the wind blew through the holes in his shirt. Sometimes he looked at the other children walking to school in colorful clothes, laughing and talking. Mai never joined them. He simply watched from the fields. But despite everything, Mai had a kind heart. He never complained. Instead, he often spoke quietly to the animals as if they were his friends. "Don't worry, little chicken," he would whisper while feeding them. "You won't be hungry today." Even the cows seemed to understand him. They followed him gently through the hills, as if they trusted him completely. At night, when the moon rose above the mountains, Mai would sit outside the small wooden house and stare at the sky. He wondered about the world beyond the hills. He wondered if his parents could see him from the stars. Sometimes tears ran down his face, but he wiped them away quickly. No one in the house liked to see him cry. One afternoon, while leading the cows into the hills to graze, Mai wandered farther than he had ever gone before. The mountains were quiet that day. Mist floated through the trees, and the air smelled of pine and wildflowers. Mai followed the cows through a narrow trail deep into the forest. Soon he discovered something strange, a hidden clearing surrounded by tall, ancient trees. In the middle of the clearing stood a beautiful silver pond, glowing softly under the sunlight. Mai had never seen this place before. He knelt beside the water and looked at his reflection. For a moment, the wind stopped. The forest became completely silent. Then, suddenly, a gentle voice spoke behind him. "You look very tired." Mai jumped and turned around. Standing beneath a flowering tree was a young girl dressed in shining white clothes. Her hair flowed like silk in the wind, and her eyes sparkled like stars. Mai had never seen anyone like her before. He stuttered nervously. I'm sorry. I didn't know this place belonged to someone." The girl smiled softly. "This place belongs to the mountain, and the mountain belongs to everyone." Mai felt confused. "Who are you?" The girl stepped closer to the pond, her feet barely making a sound on the grass. "My name is Leah. I live in the forest." Mai scratched his head. He had lived near these mountains his whole life, but he had never seen her before. "You must be very busy," Leah said gently, noticing the dirt on his hands and the tears in his worn clothing. Mai looked down. "I take care of cows and chickens, and I work in the fields. That's all." Leah studied his face quietly. You work very hard for someone so young." Mai simply nodded. Hard work was normal to him. But then Leah said something strange. "You have a very kind spirit. The mountain sees it." Mai didn't understand what she meant, but for the first time in a long time, someone had spoken to him with kindness, and that alone made his heart feel warm. Over the next few days, Mai returned to the hidden clearing again and again. Each time, Leah was there. Sometimes she was sitting by the pond. Sometimes she was singing quietly among the trees. Her voice sounded like wind flowing through bamboo. Mai began telling her about his life, about the farm, about the long days of work, about how lonely he often felt. Leah listened carefully. But one day, Mai noticed something strange. When Leah walked across the pond's surface, her feet did not sink into the water. Instead, ripples of light spread beneath her steps. Mai's eyes widened. "Wait, how did you do that?" Leah laughed softly. For a moment, the forest breeze lifted her hair. Then she said something that changed Mai's life forever. "I am not just a girl from the forest. I am a fairy of the mountain." Mai froze. In Hmong stories, elders sometimes spoke about forest spirits and mountain fairies, but Mai had never believed they were real. Yet here she was, standing right in front of him. Seeing his shocked face, Leah continued gently. "I have watched you for a long time. I saw how you cared for animals, how you never complained, how you helped even when no one helped you." She looked into his eyes. "That kindness is rare. The mountain wanted to reward you." Mai felt his heart beat quickly. "Reward me?" Leah nodded. "Yes, but first you must promise something." Mai asked carefully. "What is it?" Leah smiled. "No matter what happens in your life, never lose your kindness. Even when you become strong, even when you become rich, even when the world changes." Mai didn't understand why she said those words, but he promised anyway. "I promise." And at that moment, the wind began to glow softly. The water of the silver pond shimmered with light. The mountain itself seemed to awaken, and Mai's destiny began to change. After Mai promised never to lose his kindness, Leah stepped closer to the glowing pond. The wind began to swirl softly through the forest. Leaves rustled in the trees, and the water shimmered like liquid silver. Leah knelt beside the pond and dipped her hand into the glowing water. When she lifted her hand, a small light floated above her palm. It looked like a tiny star. Mai stared in amazement. "What is that?" he whispered. Leah walked towards him and gently placed the glowing light into his hands. "This is a gift from the mountain," she said softly. Mai felt warmth spread through his body as the light slowly disappeared into his chest. "It will not give you riches overnight. It will give you something far more powerful." Mai looked confused. "What is it?" Leah smiled. "It will guide you toward the right path. It will give you wisdom when you are lost, and it will open opportunities when your heart stays pure." Mai didn't fully understand, but he felt different already. His mind felt clearer. His heart felt stronger. Before leaving, Leah looked at him seriously. "Remember," she said, "kindness is the true magic. Never forget that." The wind blew again, and when Mai blinked, Leah was gone. The clearing became quiet once more. But Mai knew something in his life had changed forever. Years began to pass. Mai grew taller and stronger. He continued working on the farm for his uncle, but something about him had changed. He worked smarter. He noticed things others ignored. When crops failed in nearby farms, Mai found better ways to plant corn.
When animals became sick, he discovered herbs in the forest that helped them heal. People in the village slowly began to notice him. One neighbor once asked him, "How did you learn so much?" Mai simply smiled. "I pay attention to the mountain." Soon, villagers started asking for his help. He helped fix broken fences. He helped improve farming methods. He helped people take care of their animals. And something amazing began to happen. The more Mai helped others, the more opportunities came to him. A traveling merchant once passed through the village and saw Mai repairing tools. The merchant was impressed by the young boy's skill. "You are talented," the merchant said. "Come work with me in the market town." Mai had never left the mountains before, but he remembered Leah's words. Sometimes the right path opens when you least expect it. So he accepted the opportunity. In the town, Mai worked harder than ever. He learned about trading, farming techniques, tools, and business. People trusted him because he was honest. Customers preferred him because he treated everyone with respect. Slowly, his life began to improve. He earned money. He bought better clothes. He built connections with many people. Years later, Mai started his own trading business. From selling crops to transporting goods between villages to owning farmland of his own. The orphan boy who once had nothing was slowly becoming wealthy and respected. But despite his success, Mai never forgot his past. He always helped poor farmers. He often gave food to families struggling during harsh winters. And whenever he returned to his old mountain village, he visited the hidden clearing in the forest. The silver pond still shimmered quietly. But Leah never appeared again. Still, Mai believed she was watching. Many years passed. Mai was no longer the poor orphan boy wearing torn clothes. He had become one of the most respected men in the region. He owned farms, trading routes, and businesses. But his heart remained the same. One winter, he returned to his old village. The same wooden houses stood along the hills. The same winds blew through the mountains. But many families were struggling. The harvest had been poor that year. Children were hungry. Farmers had lost animals. Mai looked at the village and remembered his childhood, the cold mornings, the long days of work, the feeling of being alone, and he made a decision. Mai used his wealth to help rebuild the village. He helped farmers buy stronger animals. He taught them better farming techniques. He built storage houses so crops could last through winter. He even helped build a small school so children could learn. People were amazed. "Why are you doing all this?" someone asked. Mai simply smiled, because once I was the poor boy who needed help. That night, Mai walked once again into the forest. The hidden clearing looked exactly the same as it had many years ago. The silver pond shimmered under the moonlight. Mai knelt beside the water. "Leah," he whispered softly, "thank you." The wind moved gently through the trees. For a moment, the surface of the pond glowed, and in the reflection of the water, Mai thought he saw a familiar smiling face. Then the light faded, but Mai understood. The fairy had never truly left. She had simply guided him toward the life he was meant to live. And from that day forward, the villagers often told a story to their children. A story about a poor orphan boy with a kind heart. A boy who met a fairy of the mountain and who grew into a man who used his fortune not for himself, but to help others. Because sometimes the greatest magic in the world is simply kindness.